Hey, what's up guys? This is Gary with Fresh from the Farm Fungi. Sorry I haven't posted a video in a little while. I have been busy this winter helping my friend Zach with Mushroom Cult Pro. We've been doing some instructional classes here in Denver, and if you're in the area and haven't checked out his classes yet, I definitely recommend looking them up, mushroomcult.net. Shout out to Zach. So, I'm taking a little break from that and getting ready to ramp up for the season. And I'm really excited to be bringing a series of videos here. I'm going to be talking about how to breed mushrooms from spore prints. So there's a few different techniques that I'm going to cover. And it'll probably be a multi-video series, so it's not an hour long. And you guys can follow real time as I do this. I'm going to be breeding a chestnut mushroom, which is Foliota adiposa, and I've got a few other varieties that I wanted to kind of experiment with before the season takes off. I'm going to be doing a lion's mane and a Foliota, well that's what this is, and then Piapino and a couple of oyster mushrooms. So I'll go down in the lab and show you all the materials, and I'll kind of do a brief overview of all the different techniques, and then at the very end I'll give you a couple shortcuts that I've used. They're not as precise, but they definitely save some time, and it's kind of like a lottery. I love breeding mushrooms. You get a lot of unique phenotypes this way, and it's how you stay competitive in the mushroom game. So let's go downstairs to the lab and I'll show you what's up. Hey guys, so I'm down here in the lab now, and I've got all the materials kind of spread out, and first thing I'm going to do is go through all these materials and how they're going to be used. So there's a few different techniques, like I said before, for cloning or for breeding mushrooms, and they're different from cloning mushrooms because spores are going to have a wide array of genetics, whereas you clone a mushroom, you're preserving that phenotype. So this is like the lottery of producing mushrooms. Cloning is kind of preserving the characteristics of that mushroom. So all these videos are going to be describing on how you can create your own unique strains from a spore print. So I'm going to flip the camera around and kind of go through all these different items that I have laid out here. Okay guys, so I went ahead and pre-labeled and got my workspace ready and clean just to save some time. So the first step after you label your tubes, and how I labeled them, I don't know if you can see it too well, but this one is going to be the initial 1 to 10 dilution. That means that my original spore solution is going to be 9 mils, and then I'm going to add 1 mil of the concentrated spores, and it's going to give me a 1 to 10 dilution. You can do a whole 10 mils of really concentrated spore solution, but in my opinion that's too concentrated and it's going to clump up on the plates. So I always start off with 1 to 10, and I'm going to work all the way up to a 1 to 10,000 dilution, just to show you the difference and how to quantify your spores on a plate. So my target is going to be getting 10 different colonies on every plate. In my experience, a quantification of 10 CFUs is going to give me an even spread. You can go one more dilution and use the small plates, or you can go less dilution and then you're going to be cutting a lot of colonies out of your plate. So it's important to quantify your spores, and then in the future you can stash these spore solutions away, and come next spring maybe I want to breed some new kinds, or if this didn't have as much success as I hope, then I can go back to my original spore solution. I'm going to know how many spores are in here, so I'm not messing around and wasting plates that are too condensed with spores. Anyway, the next step is going to be filling up my dilution tubes. So I'm going to put 9 mils in all of these, and you can see the markings on the tube right there. So it's just 9 mils of water. Okay. So I have 9 mils of water in these 4 tubes, which is going to give me a 1 to 10 dilution, a 1 to 100 dilution, a 1 to 1,000, and a 1 to 10,000. And that's going to help me quantify how many spores I have in this solution, which is important because I want to use about 10 spores per plate or 10 CFUs per microliter, or milliliter. I guess if you're using this, it's going to be a microliter. If you're using a drop of water, it's going to be a mil. So I'm really excited about using these Petri dishes for this step. This is going to be the first time that I'm trying this out, so bear with me. But essentially, you can get a pretty nice spore solution by putting 10 mils of water in your Petri dish here. Transferring you're going to want to transfer about 1 mil of that into your 1 to 10 dilution. And then I'm just going to draw up the rest of this and save it in a separate tube. And now I have my stock spore solution here. So I'll go ahead and label this Yapino stock, and then today's date. Okay, so now this is going to be my 1 to 10 dilution. From my experience, there's probably about 1 million CFUs in this stock solution, which would mean there's about 100,000 CFUs in this solution. So every dilution, I'm going to take 1 milliliter from the previous tube, and it's going to move my CFUs over by a factor of 10. So if there was 1 million in here, then it's going to be 100,000, and then it's going to be 10,000, and then 1,000 and 100. So I can even go back one more to achieve my goal of 10 CFUs per plate, but I'll show you a technique using these and using this where you can cut a tube out, or I'm going to go ahead and fill up an extra tube to show you a more accurate method as well. So this will be a 1/10 of the 5th dilution. So for the 1 to 10, Ideally, you could have a vortexer and press it and it's going to give you a nice homogenized solution, but you can also just pipette it a few times to really mix those spores. And then you're going to be taking 1 milliliter and transferring it to your next tube. So I just diluted this by a factor of 10, and I'm going to do the same thing. So I'm assuming that that starting spore solution had 1 million spores per mil, and I'm just diluting this out so that I'm getting an even separation on the plates. So this next dilution is going to be a 1 to 1,000, and then I'm going to do a 1 to 10,000, and finally I'm going to do my 1 to 100,000 dilution. Alright, so this is how you make a serial dilution. Now, these pipettes aren't super accurate, these lines aren't super accurate. A volumetric pipette is going to give you more precise results, but this is what I have, and this is the middle of the road technique, I would say. So the next thing we're going to do is plate out our multi-spore solutions onto petri dishes. So I just made a guess that this original solution has 1 million spores in it. Out of those 1 million, you know, not all of them are going to be viable. I took that spore print about 2 weeks ago, so it should be pretty healthy by now. And these are hydrating in solution, so they're not going to be fully viable. But I'm going to go ahead and guess that I'm going to get my 10 CFUs in one of these 3 tubes. So I'm going to plate out first the 1 to 1,000 dilution. So there's a couple different methods you could use. Probably the easiest method, if you already have these transfer pipettes, is to just take 1 mil from here, drop it onto the plate, and use the plate spreaders. So I'll show you how I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and plate out these 3 dilutions, and I'm hoping that I'm going to get 10 colonies on these plates from one of these serial dilutions. So it's really important to mix, especially as you get more diluted spores. And I'm going to draw up a mill. Incubate these plates, you're going to want to leave it right side up so that that water will absorb into the auger. But I'm going to go ahead and label that guy for 1 to 1,000 dilution. Trying to achieve isolation, and you can use the same plate spreader, but sometimes the spores from the previous solution will get captured on there, so I like to just use fresh ones. It's going to be 1 to 10,000. And this one might not have anything show up. Sometimes the spore load is very dense, so never hurts to try. So then, if you don't have a lot of these tubes, or you want to save on plastic and time, or you're feeling, lucky, you can always just quantify the spores by using a more concentrated solution. So these are the 1 micron loops. So 1 micron is going to be, or 1 mil is going to have 1,000 microns. So if you count 3 over, then this tube should give you, the 1 to 10 should give you the same as the 1 to 1,000. I hope my math is right, it's pretty early. But I'm going to go ahead and pull from this, the 1 to 10 dilution with a 1 micron loop. And it's kind of a shortcut, but one of the drawbacks is that if there's a lot of contamination in this tube, then you're just going to be spreading out a lot of contaminants. So make sure that you have a pretty clean spore solution to do this method. And basically you're just streaking out on a plate. And then I'm going to do 1 to 10 with a 1 micron solution. And then that is how you do serial dilutions. So I'm going to air film these, put them in the incubator, and just stay observant and make sure that you're watching these every day, because you want to be able to catch that first isolate, because that's going to be the fastest grower. So it's important to pay attention, and as more and more colonies develop, you can label on the bottom, like with a 1, 2, 3, or 4, whichever isolate appears first, you're going to want to transfer onto the isolate plates, like I said before. But I'm going to make a separate video as these are incubating, and I hope that makes sense. This is really just focusing on the serial dilutions and the methods for plating. So the purpose of these serial dilutions is to quantify the spores, and then whatever plate that correlates to the dilution, I'm going to be plating out multiple plates from there to try to isolate many more haploids. And then I'm going to take those isolated haploids and reintroduce them and form diploid viable mycelium. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm going to go upstairs and kind of do an overview. Alright guys, so I hope that video makes sense to you. Basically, we just covered the cereal dilutions, and that's the starting point to quantify the amount of spores in solution so that we're isolating about 10 different colonies on each plate. That's what we're shooting for. If you have any questions, feel free to comment. If you haven't subscribed yet and enjoy these videos, please subscribe and share them with your friends. And I hope that I'm able to teach a lot of people to produce cool strains. I'm very excited about these. And I'm gonna go ahead and do some more dilutions and go ahead and try to breed some other of the strains. But that was the Piapino, and I'll keep you updated with more videos as it progresses. If you're doing this real time, then good luck and much love.